Well, guys, yesterday was a trashy news day, but then today they just unleashed the floodgates and it's been news drop after news drop. I've tried to pick kind of the hot three, the ones that I wanted to talk about the most. So we're going to get into some Disney and HBO Max team up, a new Lord of the Rings movie, and a Friday the 13th prequel film or, well, show news. So let's do it, folks. All right, guys. So the news is in. This is a little weird. Wasn't expecting this. Definitely not on my bingo card for the year. But we have got Disney and Warner Brothers Discovery teaming up to launch Disney Plus, Hulu, and Max streaming bundle. If it doesn't get any more weird than this, I don't know what is. I mean, this is freaking absurd. And it kind of leads into what we were talking about several days ago, which is that these streaming sites are struggling. They aren't really doing that well. They've been making a lot of mistakes and they just can't seem to make the money back that they are spending, and they're all going into debt. So we're getting these mega companies teaming up to bundle their services together. And I mean, we've got the deal that we've got going on with Paramount right now, Paramount with them possibly selling the company. I mean, there's just some really funky stuff going on with Hollywood, the film industry, all of these companies. They're all in debt and they're all having problems. So let's take a look here at the news. So what it says is that Disney and Warner Brothers Discovery, which are ordinarily rivals and are competing for time and money, are teaming up for this triple play bundle. The company has announced a new streaming bundle comprising Disney Plus, Hulu, and Max will be available this summer in the US. There's no pricing info for the specific launch date, and Disney WBD said the bundle will be available for purchase on any of the three streaming platform websites and offered as both an ad-supported and ad-free tier. So they've got some plans for this. The other interesting thing here is that before this article dropped, and people aren't talking about it really, was that there was a I don't know if it was a leak or what it was, saying that the pricing on Max was actually also going to be going up this year. And it has been going up year after year. All of these streaming companies keep upping the price while, you know, the executives and the big dogs at the top are making gajillions of dollars, but yet they're like, oh, the company's not doing too hot. So there's just such fishy stuff going on with these companies, and it seems like they are doing all of these moves to stay above water, but not actually doing the behind the scenes work that it needs to make sure that these companies are making the money that they need to make. This is a really big turn of events. I mean, and the article does mention as well, before there was the deal with Paramount Plus and Showtime, so we had them teaming up recently. It just seems to be that these streaming companies can't cut it. Netflix set a standard and blew up, but then just kept producing content, burning more money. And now they're where they're at too. And it seemed a little too late for everyone to kind of jump in on the bandwagon of what was going on with them, which is just really odd. So we've got this bundle coming down the pipe. I don't know what the deal is going to be, but we'll keep an eye on it as this progresses over the summer. So next up, I mentioned Lord of the Rings. If you are on X right now, this is in pretty much every feed that I have seen. Everyone's talking about it. You'll see a lot of the big dogs in the space kind of poo-pooing on the fact that this is even happening. And I guess I kind of get it, just because it's like, look what Amazon has done with Lord of the Rings and the Rings of Power. That show has been a dumpster fire, and they just keep pouring more money on it. And most of the hardcore OG real fans freaking hate the show. So I was lukewarm at very best on that show. There were some things that were watchable about it. It was nice that it had the big budget. They did some neat things on screen, but all in all, it pretty much sucked. So what it's saying here is that Andy Serkis is going to be directing and starring in this new Lord of the Rings Hunt for Gollum show that's set for a 2026 release. This is kind of an update on this because there's a little bit more news tied to this. And if you don't know, Andy Serkis is the man who played Gollum, who kind of set the standard for motion capture work with the original Lord of the Rings films, and what he did with Gollum. It was so good. The acting was superb, and then the character also just looked excellent. Now, the weird thing here is that this movie is called The Hunt for Gollum. Now, what is this going to be based off of? That was initially where my mind went. It's like they made a video game recently that absolutely tanked about Gollum. Now, granted, maybe the game could have been good if it had had better development, but it was not a well-made game. The story wasn't good. It just fell apart. And then this seems on the same path. So as far as character-wise, which is just odd to me. So what it says as far as the updated news here, it says the first of two new Lord of the Rings films at Warner Brothers. So they haven't said what the other film is going to be, which also has me intrigued. And this is going to be a live action film. So there is an animated Lord of the Rings film coming out later this year, if I'm not mistaken. I do not know the name of it, but it will be interesting to see what comes out of that. But so what it says is that Andy Serkis is going to be directing and starring in this. And then it's got the writers' names here. Now, scrolling down, basically, they made kind of a public statement about what this is. So Andy Serkis said, "Yes, Precious, the time has come once more to venture into the unknown with my dear friends, the extraordinary and incomparable guardians of Middle Earth, Peter, Fran, and Philippa, with Mike and Pam and the Warner Brothers team on the quest as well, alongside Weta and our filmmaking family in New Zealand." So Weta, if you don't know, is who did the special effects for the Lord of the Rings films. They've done the Peter Jackson's King Kong film, and they've been doing these recent Planet of the Apes films. And they did the most recent one, which I saw last night, and I can confirm it is hands down some of the best motion capture work as far as just the best CG I have ever seen. I don't know why every company out there is not just using Weta, because it freaking is stunning. So they're doing awesome work. So the fact that they're involved with this, really good news. They were involved with the original films. The other thing is that he name drops Peter, which he is referring to Peter Jackson. So Peter Jackson, it says here, will also be producing alongside the usual suspects that he mentioned that were tied to this franchise. So this is good news that Jackson is tied to it as well. Now, a lot of people crap on the Hobbit movies. I like the Hobbit movies. I really don't care if you don't like them. I like them. I think they're fun. I know they're big, bombastic blockbuster movies. Now, granted, did it need to be 3 films? Probably not. But that's another discussion for another day. So I don't know what this movie is going to be about. I don't know what they are planning on digging into here, but it will be a fun one to watch as well. I think that this could, at the very least, could be a fun movie if handled right. My thoughts are that they are probably going to end up having to embellish, though, on some of the storytelling and things that weren't actually in the works. And the fact that it is called Hunt for Gollum has me thinking that maybe this is in the period after Gollum finds the ring. So it's in that in between time before he kind of secludes himself into the cave and gets stuck down in there and is just turning into actual Gollum. It's, his Smeagol character. So it will be a very interesting film, but I'm just worried that they might have to do a lot of their own creations and story that actually wasn't in Tolkien's. So this has some good to it, some bad to it. I really just don't know. I'm the type of person, I'm gonna hold out and not, s say that this is gonna be horrible and that it should never happen or never be made. I'm just wanna look on the upside of things. This could be cool. It has a lot of neat people attached, and yes, it could be a cash grab. It very well could be, but it also could be a good cash grab. So I'm on board if that's the case. I love the Lord of the Rings world. Maybe this will be neat, and the fact that Amazon owns a healthy chunk of the Tolkien universe now is kind of concerning, because it's which I guess most of that stuff doesn't involve Gollum, so I guess they don't have anything to worry about, but we'll see. The next piece of news you were probably not going to see or hear from with anybody. This thing kind of got buried. But if you did not know, they were working on a Friday the 13th prequel series. And also, if you did not know, we have not had a Friday the 13th movie, I think, since 2009. It has been a long time. It was back when I was in college. They did a movie. It starred Jared Padalecki from Supernatural. I actually really liked the movie. I think that it was an interesting production situation where it was like connected to I don't even know. I remember there being something in the marketing about Transformers, so it was probably some Michael Bay produced thing where he was tied onto it, and they were going more of like a big budget Friday the 13th. That movie, people are kind of on both sides of the fence with it. I liked it. I had fun back in the day in 2009, but we haven't gotten to see anything from this world in a long time. Now, The news about this isn't that the show is coming out, because apparently they had announced this, but it is that it has lost its showrunner, Brian Fuller. And this news is absolutely terrible. Now, a lot of people probably don't know who Brian Fuller is, but I've been tracking this dude for a long time. Brian Fuller is a freaking master. And he also has terrible, terrible luck in the industry. I think that he is excellent at what he does. He is the showrunner behind the TV show Hannibal, which was absolutely fantastic. If you have not seen it, watch it. And that was a prequel series to the Hannibal movie. And I think those were books as well before, but don't quote me on that. And also, he did Pushing Daisies. If you've never seen Pushing Daisies, I think it's on Max. It is one of my favorite shows of all time, too. He does whimsical, but also horror really well. He meddles in a lot of areas, but he has a very specific style and taste and just a lot of character with what he does. So, and he also did American Gods. If you have not seen American Gods, I really enjoyed that show up until the last season. I thought it fell apart a little bit, and they started getting a little political with it, and I fell off. But, you know, you win some, you lose some. And showrunners quite often don't stay involved through the whole production. But also, a lot of people don't remember that he was actually involved with Star Trek Discovery in the very beginning, and then they kicked him off of production of that show too. Like I said, he has bad luck. So he got totally screwed with Star Trek Discovery. I don't know if he got any kind of rights or paid for it since he did the early development, but he was not the showrunner going forward. And we all know what happened with Star Trek Discovery. So basically, the news here is that Fuller has been pulled off the show. Now, if you did not know, another tidbit about this show, which is based off of Crystal Lake, which is the kind of origin of the Friday the 13th character, Jason Voorhees. So basically, this was going to be ran by A24, which I think would have been awesome. Brian Fuller and A24 together, like, come on, this is a match made in heaven. So what happened? And basically, Fuller said, adapting classic horror is something I have experience with. Fuller wrote on X. These shows require a vision that elevates and transforms, as well as delivers the audience have come to expect, which is an ambitious and risky endeavor. It requires people to take a leap with me. When it works, as with Hannibal, the results can be powerful for the storytellers and the audience. I couldn't be more proud of my work with co-runner Jim Danger Gray, and I were able to accomplish with our brilliant writing staff despite the challenges we faced. He continued, for reasons beyond our control, A24 has elected to go a different way with the material. We hope the final product will be something Friday the 13th fans all over the world will enjoy. So my guess is they're going to yank the stuff that they liked from what he was making, get rid of the stuff they didn't, and keep trucking with it, which is complete crap. That's what they did with Discovery, and Discovery did not end up being as good as it could have been. And that was actually technically a little more out of his wheelhouse. But I think that they have potentially killed this. And A24 typically likes their creators, and he seems like somebody that they would have worked with previously. So I'm really just confused about this entire situation. But I went from excited to now, at very best, nervous, since A24 has pulled the plugs on this. So, or at least as far as Brian Fuller's involvement. So we will keep an eye on this show. I wish it the best. I hope it's cool, but I'm just more bummed than anything. And actually, talking about his bad luck, he also, most people don't know, created a Munsters reboot, which he did for, I think, NBC back in the day. And it was called Mockingbird Lane. And they ended up tanking that, or well, basically cutting the cord on that show too. And what had happened was he had made 2 episodes. They kept those, released them as a holiday special movie, and then the show never happened. And it starred Eddie Izzard and quite a few other, Patricia DeRosa and other folks. It was really pretty cool. You can't watch that 2-episode mini movie, whatever you want to call it, anywhere. I haven't been able to find it, but it's just, this dude has bad luck. And this is once again Brian Fuller catching the short end of the stick. Now, the thing that I did not mention we were going to talk about, that I just have to show you guys because it's freaking hilarious, is right here. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you a leaked photo of Liam Hemsworth as Geralt. This is our new Witcher. Just, I mean, look, in all his relatively scrawny, not Henry Cavill glory. What is this? What is happening here? I don't want this. I don't want this at all. I don't want to see it. Liam, I'm sorry, buddy, but you're just not Cavill. I know this is a leaked photo, and people are saying that this could be a stunt double, but either way, I don't want it. I don't want a not Cavill Witcher. So just keep it. Anyways, that's it, guys. Make sure to like, subscribe, do all the fun stuff, comment, help boost us in the algorithm. And more than anything, hop on criticless.com, create you an account, review some movies and entertainment. Come say what's up. I'll be your MySpace Tom. And until next week, because this is the last news update for the week. I'm running Monday through Thursday, and we'll see how that goes. If you guys decide you want Friday news, maybe I'll start doing it. But make sure to catch out our Planet of the Apes review, which we will be recording tonight. But guys, it's been real. Later.